And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Welcome to the Politics, Prepping, and Paranormal Podcast.
Flippity-jibbity nonsense.
I thought it was terrific.
It's not just big, it's yeah.
Welcome to the Politics, Prepping, and Paranormal Podcast. My name is Jeff Morey, and I am your host. Last week, I had my friend Heidi Hollis back on the show, and we talked about everything paranormal and touched on a few of the big paranormal news headlines and stories of 2025. This week, before I welcome a couple of phenomenal guests to kick off the new year of shows, figured it would be a great time to look back at 2025 and at the same time take a look ahead into 2026. 2025 was wild, and 2026 promises to be no exception. We're coming into a huge election year, and I wouldn't normally say that on a midterm year, but this one's going to be a doozy. I have plenty of thoughts about what we can expect from 2026, but let's first take a look back, shall we, and talk about the people, politics, paranormal, and how all this affects those of us who are preppers and closely monitor world events and what is going on all around us to help plan and best prepare for the fight ahead. I hate to use the word fight. I know that sounds like a catchphrase from doomsday preppers or something, but I am an eternal pessimist, and I believe it is only going to get worse long before it gets better. I don't know where you stand on it, but I truly believe that we are living in the end times as prophesied in the book of Revelation. And I fear that those events may take place as soon as the next 10 or 20 years. 2026 will be a turning point, and I'm not referencing those words for fun. I'll discuss turning point and specifically its new CEO in a minute for our nation and possibly for the entire world as well. If we finally get the truth about the biggest secret in human history, the existence of life outside of our planet, and more importantly, the revelation that they have been here for a very long time, and even more importantly, that our government has known about them for quite some time and is even working with extraterrestrials to not only reverse engineer alien technology, but that perhaps there's even a bigger, more devious and malevolent plan being carried out right under our noses. I hope that one day, soon, that we can expose the covert activities that the U.S. government and other world governments have been involved in, and that we, the people, can take back control of our country and our society from these elites and possibly others. But unfortunately, other than some breadcrumbs that have been thrown my way, I don't have enough evidence to talk about those things unless I can present some cold, hard facts and truths. But I do have plenty of evidence and truths to talk about Donald J. Trump, the Epstein Files, Israel, Venezuela, now Iran, the continued rise of AI, 3I Atlas, and yes, Turning Point USA and its new CEO, Erika Kirk, as well as the assassination of Charlie Kirk on September 10th. And I'll start there because I have plenty to say about Charlie Kirk's death, the rise of Erika Kirk, the Candace Owens allegations and drama, and the truth behind Israel's ties to Charlie's murder. Man, I could talk about this for hours and lay out all the speculation and evidence behind his death and the events in the days and months after, but I'll just lay it out the way I see it. 1, Tyler Robinson did not commit this murder by himself, if he even did it at all. Why? Well, I'll just give you a few of the reasons. Number 1, there is no way this kid with no military training executed the staging, planning, and most importantly, the shot to take him out on his own. Number 2, From what I can ascertain, there are no clear pictures of Robinson carrying the rifle from the rooftop to the wooded area where he supposedly left it. Number 3, supposedly Robinson disassembled and then reassembled the rifle between the rooftop and the drop point in the wooded area. BS. Number 4, if you follow the different security cameras that supposedly picked him up, the narrative of his outfits doesn't line up. Number 5, what would motivate this kid who comes from a police family and had no prior criminal record to murder a man when he had his whole life ahead of him? I could go on. It just doesn't add up. 2, Israel has its fingerprints all over this. It is well known and documented now that Charlie Kirk was getting ready to start publicly talking about Israel and redacting his support for them. He even made statements before his death about Israel's intent to ethnically cleanse the Gaza Strip and basically commit genocide.
But the fact is now Bibi and the Israeli hard-right government has a mandate. I got to be careful the way I say this. They're going to try to ethnically cleanse Gaza. Yep. I mean, I don't use that term lightly, okay?
3, something is not right with Erika Kirk. It astounds me the number of people who align pretty evenly with me in their beliefs and political views that still support Erika Kirk and think that she's a great person, a God-fearing, pure of heart patriot. I'm sorry, but I'm just not buying it. From right after Charlie Kirk's death, this woman has not acted like a grieving widow should from the start. And for me, there are 2 smoking guns with her. One is her eyes. You can tell a lot about people just from their body language, their facial expressions, and especially their eyes. And from the fake tears to that malevolent-looking stare where she barely, if at all, blinks, her eyes betray her. 2 is the children. Since Charlie was killed, this woman has been on a nonstop whirlwind media and events tour that continues to this day. Where are the kids? I know Charlie was always private about his kids and keeping them out of the spotlight, but how the hell has this woman had any time to be with her children? We grieve for Erika for the loss of her husband, but think about the kids. Adults can process and understand emotions and deal with pain, suffering, and loss far better than children can. Even if Erika Kirk is who we want to believe she is, there is no way you can tell me she has been there for her children when they needed her the most. And I still have yet to see a pregnancy picture of this woman anywhere for either child. And then there's her past, with the ties to Trump through his beauty pageants, the music videos, the symbology in those videos, and the Masonic symbol she adorns on her jewelry. And not to mention the Egyptian planes that were following her, and yes, her, not Charlie Kirk, around everywhere long before his assassination. And her presence these days with all the pyro and the outfit she wears, nothing about this woman adds up for me. 4, what about the courtyard at Utah Valley where Charlie Kirk was killed and the Turning Point event was held at? Has anyone looked into all the mysterious circumstances about that location? Like how there was reportedly some kind of trap door underground before his tent was set up, and even more curiously, how Utah Valley University, less than 3 days after his assassination, rushed to have pavers put over the grass in the courtyard. The more you look into the scene, the more questions it raises. And 5, as if the question marks surrounding Tyler Robinson, Israel, and Erika Kirk wasn't enough, I'd like to know, has anyone seen an autopsy? That's right, there wasn't one. Even with all the controversy about the shot and the alleged shooter and the entry and exit of the bullet. A ballistics report, a death certificate, or a location of a gravesite? I didn't think so. So that's my take on one of the biggest news stories of the year. I'm not buying any of the official narrative on any of it. And I've already mentioned Israel and its alleged ties to the Charlie Kirk assassination. How about the majority purchase this past year of TikTok by billionaire Larry Ellison's Oracle? If you haven't heard that, Oracle, a very pro-Israel company, which already controls a large portion of U.S. media, will now be the majority stakeholders of TikTok and are reportedly seeking to continue purchasing other major U.S. media companies, including Paramount. On top of that, we've seen a growing trend this past year of politicians who are calling any Americans who don't support Israel anti-Semitic. Here's a clip of Texas Senator Ted Cruz, one of the biggest supporters in the Israel propaganda.
Growing up in Sunday school, I was taught from the Bible, those who bless Israel will be blessed, and those who curse Israel will be cursed. And from my perspective, I want to be on the blessing side of things.
Of those who bless the government of Israel?
Those who bless Israel is what it says. It doesn't say the government of, it says the nation of Israel. So that's in the Bible. As a Christian, I believe that.
Where is that?
I can find it to you. I don't have the scripture off the tip of my... You pull out the phone and use the Google.
It's in Genesis. But so you're quoting a Bible phrase. You don't have context for it and you don't know where in the Bible it is, but that's like your theology? I'm confused. What does that even mean?
And let me remind you that Ehud Barak, the former prime minister of Israel, actually lived at Jeffrey Epstein's townhouse on and off from 2013 to 2017. So Israel is not only potentially tied to Charlie Kirk's murder, U.S. state media and politicians, but also the world's most notorious sex offender as well. I've said it before, I will say it again. I, in no way, shape, or form, have any problem with the Israeli people. My issue is with Netanyahu and the Israeli government. I don't know how it is that they have so much power and such an enormous amount of reach and influence, but heed my warning, people. You need to be connecting the dots and watching Israel closely. Speaking of Jeffrey Epstein and the so-called Epstein Files, I know I'm beating a dead horse here, but are we ever going to actually get these files and names on this supposed client list? On November 19th this past year, President Trump signed the Epstein Files Transparency Act, which supposedly meant that the Department of Justice was supposed to release all the relevant files related to Jeffrey Epstein. But to this day, we still don't have really any new revelations about Jeffrey Epstein, his clients, his associates, or his network. The king of country music, George Strait, said it best in his classic hit Oceanfront Property, when he was singing about having oceanfront property in Arizona, and he says, well, if you'll buy that, I'll throw the Golden Gate in free. That's about how I feel about the whole Epstein situation. We will never know the truth, or I feel like even a sliver of the truth, with just how deep this went and how many people were involved. Donald Trump may not have been a client of Epstein or have ever gone to that island, but he was friends with the man for a long time and was deeply associated with him. Speaking of Donald J. Trump, besides maybe Charlie Kirk's assassination, I don't think any one person has been more talked about this year than our president has. I have a really phenomenal list of guest interviews right now that I need to get through, but if I can find the time, I may do a whole show about Trump's first year in office of his second term. I personally have probably lost some followers and subscribers over the course of this year criticizing Trump's performance, but that's okay. I can't pretend to be a MAGA extremist that goes along with everything that the man says and does. Trump's campaign in 2024 basically centered around four big promises. Number one, putting America first. Number two, lowering the cost of living. Number three, carrying out the largest deportation operation in U.S. history and getting rid of millions of illegal immigrants. And number four, releasing the truth about the Jeffrey Epstein files. And I'm sorry, but from my perspective, he's only accomplished one of the four. I think he has done a superb job identifying, finding, and carrying out deportations of illegal immigrants who have been committing crimes and bleeding our resources and especially our healthcare system. So huge props to Trump, his administration, and the work of ICE and the Department of Homeland Security on that front. But, and I know I'm going to catch a lot of flack from a lot of people about this, attacking Venezuela and removing a sitting president of another country, the constant meetings with foreign leaders like Zelensky and especially Netanyahu, and the massive shift towards this pro-Israel narrative we are seeing all over this country, along with new threats about invading Iran and God knows who else he's threatened lately. Is this really America first? Is this really what you voted for? Look, as far as Venezuela is concerned, I think he did the right thing, just for the wrong reasons. In case you didn't know, Venezuela has the world's largest proven crude oil reserves. And did you happen to see where Venezuelan opposition leader and Nobel Peace Prize winner Maria Corina Machado, who many think after all the dust has settled may possibly become Venezuela's new president, has already said that she pledges to make Venezuela Israel's strongest ally in Latin America. The more I look into this, the less I feel like this was done to shut down the cartels. I know people will always go back to the old saying, you cut off the head of the snake, but for anyone that understands the cartels, they don't operate that way. They have been successful in their criminal activities because they aren't centralized and because they operate in many different areas and under many different pretenses. As far as lowering the cost of living goes, I can tell you this. We are a one-income family, and we have never been in a worse financial situation than we are right now. The cost of living, and more importantly, groceries, services, and the everyday living essentials is higher than it has ever been in my lifetime. Yes, gas prices are way down, and I give Trump all the credit in the world for that. But that's it. Apart from gas prices, literally everything is higher. I have said from day one, I don't like the way Trump was handling the tariffs. And I've even had a bunch of diehard Trump supporters on this show that have all reluctantly agreed with me in that. I get why he's doing it, and I understand the goals and objectives here. I just think he has gone about it the wrong way from the start. And the Epstein Files. We will never see the whole truth about Jeffrey Epstein and his associates. End of story. And I'm going to throw one last tidbit at you, and there isn't not one single Republican, patriot, Trump supporter that can disagree with me on this one. For the love of God, why does Trump still support and endorse Lindsey Graham? For any diehard Trump walks on water and what he says is the gospel MAGA folks out there, I'm dying to hear how you justify that one. I'm not going to sit here and list out all of Donald Trump's shortcomings, and man, there are plenty, because I do still, for the most part, support him. And I still stand by my statements that I have said 1,000 times before, that we are still far better off with Trump than Kamala Harris. All I'm saying is that people need to have an open mind and step back and realize that QAnon is just a myth, masterfully crafted by Trump and his people, and Trump isn't this mastermind who controls all the cards and is playing 4D chess with the globalists and the rest of the world. He's still a man who makes mistakes and still could be doing a much better job than what he is currently doing. All right. In the paranormal world this year, we had a record number of TV shows, media, and especially talk from Congress and government hearings into UFO disclosure. I think more and more people are united behind the belief that not only are we not alone, but our government has known about it for a long time and continues to hide the truth from us. There have been an increased number of shadow people and paranormal activity in general. And the one prevailing theory that really seemed to be getting a lot more talk and attention this year than ever before is the simulation theory. And for those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, I'm referring to the theory that we are actually living in the Matrix, basically. and that all of us are living in some kind of simulation, being controlled by who knows, and that we're possibly the subjects of some kind of experiment or something. I personally don't believe that. My faith in God will never lead me down that road, but I know a growing number of people that do, and the theory is gaining steam and definitely getting stronger and gaining support. And of course, I brought up the Eye Atlas multiple times on this show. I have heard theories ranging from that is just an unusual comet, all the way to the one that is a cloaked or actually running some sort of holographic projection of a comet, actually. Draconian transport ship carrying thousands of draconian soldiers and status, ready to invade us or any other planet. And the Draconians are reported to be one of the many races of extraterrestrials, for those of you who have never heard of them. Again, I don't believe that. I'm just telling you all of the wild theories I've heard about that thing this year. We lost Trump enemy and famous director Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle Singer, Dallas Cowboys star Marshawn Nealon, Kiss guitarist and co-founder Ace Frehley, R&B legend D'Angelo, actress Diane Keaton, Dr. Jane Goodall, Robert Redford, Giorgio Armani, Kelly Clarkson's ex-husband Brandon Blackstock, the greatest wrestler in history, Hulk Hogan, Gene Hackman, Michelle Trachtenberg, and of course the one and only Ozzy Osbourne, all in 2025, among so many more. So what can we say about 2026 and what might be on the bingo card for this year? I'm not a psychic and I don't have a crystal ball, but I can tell you a couple things I do expect from 2026. I think that we, and when I say we, I mean true America First patriots, may get a swift kick in the arse this year in the midterm elections. The special elections last year was a bloodbath for Republicans, and quite frankly, I don't personally see the 2026 midterms going much better. I've always said on this show that I believe that the number one biggest issue that the American people will vote on is their bottom line in the economy. And like I said, my family has never been in a worse situation than we are right now. Did you know that the world's top 1% wealthiest people own more wealth than 95% of humanity? Now, I'm not a socialist, but I've always worked hard and given 110% to anything that I do. And I am a firm believer that the establishment is rigged against the middle and lower class. And I think Trump's shortcomings towards the tariffs and the economy are going to shock the Republicans in the midterms. I also think that we've reached the point of no return with the lightning fast development and evolution of artificial intelligence. And I think 2026 may be the first year that we start to see some of the consequences of that. I also think we're going to see some kind of false flag type event concerning UFO disclosure, whether it be an outright admission of the existence of extraterrestrial life, or more breadcrumbs thrown at us to distract us or somehow disillusion us towards some narrative they do or don't want us to know about. I'm very concerned about the future of this country, and it scares me that the world my kids are going to have to grow up in. But it is an unfortunate truth that I can't do anything about. Only watch, monitor, and prepare for any possibilities. So that's it. That's my take on 2025 and 2026. If you stayed with me for this long, I appreciate it, and I'm grateful for you watching and listening. I would really love to hear your thoughts. I always welcome anyone to drop me a line on social media at PoliticPrepper or on my email at thepppodcast. That's the 3P podcast at yahoo.com. Thank you as always. Have a happy 2026. And remember, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay vigilant.
Thank you for listening to the Politics, Prepping, and Paranormal Podcast. Your source for real news and analysis on politics, prepping, paranormal, conspiracy theories, and the volatile state of the world we live in. Tune in next week and every week for a new episode. And stay safe, stay healthy, and stay vigilant.